Hello and welcome back to another of my interview series on the channel. Today I'm talking to three gentlemen who were involved in a dispute about the 15-minute cities, or are they calling it the 20-minute low-traffic neighbourhoods, or some such rubbish. You may have seen a video that's been circling around the internet, extremely popular, gone viral, at the Thetford. In Thetford in Norfolk, and it's been a community stand against this the laws that are coming in, this trial that they're doing all across the country, in Oxford, in Cambridge, in Canterbury, in which they're trying to sort of contain people within the town, a 15-minute town. That's the idea. Well, I saw this video and I thought, blimey, look at this. Let's get the three chaps in and have a chat with them. So let's say hello, first of all, to Kris Brooks, who produced the video. Hello, Kris. He's in the middle. Hello to you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You have to speak up nice and loudly so I can hear you. And Mike Ball, who was one of the central features in the debate, and we're going to see a clip in a minute. Hello, Mike.
Richard, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. And Bob Seys, who was also in the group, making sure that all the points that the audience wanted to say, the members of the society wanted to say, could get them too. Hello to you.
Hello, Richard.
And you are coming from, you're all lined up under a lovely picture. We can't see the picture terribly much, but it's you're at the Thomas Paine Hotel, where Thomas Paine famously wrote The Rights of Man, and went off to be an international star in, when was that? It was 17 something or other?
Yeah, mid-1700s. And
something like that.
Yeah, he was involved in the rise of the anti-slavery movement, really.
Exactly. So this is all very exciting. So now, just tell us what's happened, because we've heard about these 15-minute cities. We know that there are these trials. Nobody's asked anybody about it. Seems to be a diktat that's come down from government, or even above government. Other people seem to be telling the government what to do these days. And so, how did you firstly find out about it, and what was the response, and what made you start to make this video?
Talk about Oxford. Right. Right. Basically, what it was is we saw what was going on in Oxford. A few of us went down there to have a look, and talking to the people of Oxford, there weren't very many people that knew what was going on. The businesses knew their businesses are suffering because of road closures and what have you, and people are suffering. Economically, I suppose, if you like. So that's where it sprang from. So then we started to look into what was going on around here. It's all part of a national rollout called the UK 100, which sort of brings me to a press release I saw this morning from Councillor Hemsel in Norwich, who said that she had this brainchild, that she was going to help people with disabilities and what have you. And she had this brainchild that she was going to try and roll out this 20-minute thing in local communities, which is a complete and utter lie, because the coincidence is uncanny that she had this brainchild at the same time as another 100 councils.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and then when you look further afield, it's actually a global rollout.
Yes.
So the idea they have on paper looks very rosy. Yes, everything will be available within walking distance for people in their communities, which is great. So why not roll out that thing anyway? The biggest bugbear is that we already know what's going on in other cities, and this, to me, is the thin end of the wedge as far as restrictions go. There's a little bit of plausible deniability going on. They're saying, no, there will be no restrictions, but in their literature, it does say you won't be able to access certain things as directly as you would on foot. Yes, you can use your cars, but you won't be able to access directly. So,
right.
So
it's a point. So they're already pushing you in a direction, and it can only go one way, can't it? Ultimately,
they're planting seeds. They're planting seeds.
So your community got together then, presumably, when you knew there was it a council meeting that you all got together to see the mayor. We're going to see a little bit of the footage in a second. Is that what happened?
How it happened was the Eastern Daily Press put out an article about how great these zones are going to be, and it's a trial run. Well, we know it's not a trial run because it's come down from higher than government. Let's put it that way.
And everyone's doing this trial run, or will be, as you said. In Oxford, it's already there, and they've got massive plant plots in the way.
That's it. Coincidentally.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Richard, I think it's important that we understand that it was actually the 13th of December 22 that a vote was taken at Norfolk County Council level to investigate and research this moving forward. That wasn't until the 24th of January that the residents, were made aware that something was in place, or over a month later, that something was in place because it was in the EDP. That's when it sparked what it sparked, and the curiosity, and if you like, the uproar, because how can, and that was the crux of the meeting, how can you make a decision on behalf of the community without discussing it with the community? And that's where our concerns were raised. They're trying to slide this in. That's the bottom line. They're trying to slide it in under the guise that utopia. The bottom line is that there's not the funding, there's not the time, there's not the infrastructure, etc., etc. When you read the policy from Lana Hempsall, it does, like Bob said, it reads rosy. But the reality is, one of the lines in there that causes enormous concern: without the use of a car.
Yes.
Well, without the use of a car. So hang on a second. So anyone is able to walk or cycle, but without the use of the car. Well, that's not definitive enough for anybody to make a decision and surrender the use of the vehicle just on the basis, because the one question that I'm being asked as a representative of the community, and obviously we've got the further meeting on the 30th, the one question is, am I able to drive to pick my children up from school? We've got one school in this town. We did have two, but they amalgamated them and they built an academy, which is at the far end of the town. That's a long way away, definitely not 20 minutes walk from estates on the London Road part of the town. So they're asking, am I able to still go and pick my child up? Bearing in mind there's an element of safety and security when collecting a child.
Yes.
I haven't got the answer to that, and I've got to be honest, reading the policy that Lana Hempsall has created, there isn't the answer there. So it just seems to have been overlooked. And what we're faced with is the fact that there's too little information is dangerous. Give us the facts. We understand we're not stupid people, and I think sometimes they think we are. We understand the facts that we have to make sacrifices in order for development. But what are the sacrifices?
Be transparent.
So, I mean, is this just development, or is this part of a CO2 reduction plan? Assuming that everyone's bought into the climate change business for saving the planet, that all these other towns that are part of it are supposed to be obliged to take part in or also lose the car. And you're in Norfolk, which is quite rural, so presumably people are going to be quite way out and they're having to come into the town centre, and they may not necessarily want to do it at the same time as the buses come and go. So the car must be an essential in a rural part of England.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a cynical person might turn around and advance that a little bit more, and I'm probably that cynical person, because I just think to myself, they always say you've got a choice. But when that choice is Hobson's choice and you haven't really got a choice, what you can do is you can use a car and pay a penalty, or be disadvantaged, or you can walk or cycle. So, and that is what is being sold on. There's no two ways about that. I mean, evidence suggests that. The meeting on the 30th will be very interesting, I think, to be honest with you. We're doing lots of digging. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I can't stress enough the support that I've received personally, not only from the local community, but online platforms who've got in touch and said, well, we can help you here. And whereas I was one person researching from home of a night time, what I've got a group of researchers that are acting on our behalf, and big level researchers. And they're a lot further, thankfully, down the LTNs, the ULEZ, and everything else. So we will, undoubtedly, we will be able to put together a damning evidence package that kind of disproves what they're doing as lawful.
Right, absolutely. So just tell me what led up to the meeting, and then I want to just show in the clip that has been gone viral at the moment with the mayor. I think it was the mayor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we've gone, Bob, sorry.
Well, what happened was there's a group of us that meet regularly. Stand in the Park. Stand in the Park started in Australia and just went worldwide. And it was lots and lots of people that are like-minded, and we get together and discuss what's going on in the world. And anyway, at one of our meetings, one lady said, "Well, why don't we try and get this out to the public around Thetford?" And then it was, "Well, why don't we do some leaflets?" And then, "Well, why don't we put the fact that there's a council meeting going to be discussing it?" Well, it wasn't actually on the agenda of the council meeting. We made it an agenda on the council meeting.
Excellent.
We was expecting probably 20, 30 people maximum. And as it turns out, those of us that had got involved couldn't actually get in the place because there were so many people up to see what was going on. And that's really where it sprung from.
So let's have a little look at a little clip. You've just arrived, really, and it is the mayor, isn't it? The lady mayor.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
John.
So here we go. Let's. I'm just taking this from your YouTube video, Kris. So let's have a look.
So we have our first question.
13th of December 2022. It was a Tuesday night. I'll take you back to the Norfolk County Council.
It was Tuesday during the day.
You made a decision on our behalf to vote in favour of a 20-minute neighbourhood plan for the County of Norfolk. Since then, we found out that Thetford, along with Attleborough and Rackheath, are to be considered for trial towns for said programme. What gave you the right to vote for me about an issue which is going to dramatically affect everybody? Why did you think that was okay to vote on our behalf without a public meeting, without consultation, or without any evidence being put before us as to how that's going to affect and detriment our lives, which it will?
I'm really pleased that you've used the word evidence.
Okay.
Because if you refer back to the motion that you're referring to, it said to explore and understand so that we can collate the information and go, is it a good idea or not a good idea?
Hang on. No. Listen, it doesn't matter about the evidence. The mere suggestion that we should have our lives, it doesn't matter what evidence you collate, collude, or gain together at a later date, you should have, as a town mayor, as a town person, in your biography, you talk about, I'm passionate about Thetford. Well, I've got to be honest, there's a lot of people here tonight that are pretty concerned as to why you're making decisions on their behalf without consultation. And I'm one of them. With that in mind, let me tell you now, I don't consent. I don't need your help. And I take away my Now, bearing in mind, you've got an election coming up on the 4th of May. Okay? We've removed that consent. We will do our best to make sure that you don't get in, because you're there as a councillor, you're there for us. Okay, you operate for us.
All residents' views.
You work for us. Now,
Okay, so there we go. There's a little snippet, and you were in full force there, Mike. But they were brilliant points. You know, they are supposed to work for your. You know, the councillors are supposed to work for the people. You pay their wages. You've consented to let them do that, and yet they seem to be belligerently just coming down with their own rules. And you could see the number of people that were equally on your side, and as you say, more people spilling out through the door. It must have given you a sense that, you know, there was cohesion there, that people, you know, that you were making your point. Did you feel that you were getting somewhere with them at that stage?
I don't know if I was getting somewhere with them, but what I did realise very soon after, and it was significant, is the fact that the support of the residents was with me. It wasn't a one-man crusade. It's been reported as a one-man crusade, and to be fair, after that meeting, I did get a little bit of a hammering from one very small, insignificant online media, and they twisted and turned it around. But you've got to expect that. They're going to try and discredit you, because obviously they want to undermine you, don't they? good news doesn't sell papers, does it? So what we've got is a residents group now who are so supportive and on board. It's going to affect everybody, and I urge everybody around the country to do exactly what we did and challenge the narrative. Because, if this is implemented at a later date, what our children, grandchildren, everything else, they're not going to know the lives we got. I mean, the mere fact of it is, possibly in 2 years, 3 years, you're not even going to be able to get into a vehicle and drive it without encumbrance of a penalty, and that is outrageous.
So how will they, what's their intention to enforce it? I mean, if they're using cameras and all those sort of things, presumably you're having to pay for it as well out of council tax.
Yeah, I mean, there lies the irony, but we're actually paying to fine ourselves because
So the question comes then, why pay the council tax?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's an interesting thought, isn't it? But I mean, I think it's important now just to mention that if you wrote down government and on a separate piece of paper put council and then the public, what order of importance would most public put that in? And I can guarantee you, pretty much 99% of people will put government at the top, council in the middle, and the public at the bottom. Well, that's inverted.
I mean, I would have suggested that it starts with the people, and then you work with a locality, so your council, and it goes up to the central, to head office, as it were, to say this is what we want to do, and everyone's paying, right up to the Prime Minister. We're all paying their wages. They're only there to administer.
That is 100% correct. We are the principals.
Yes.
We are the principals. They are the agents. I mean, ideally, the primary agent for us is the council. The secondary agent is the government. So the council go to the government, but that really doesn't interest us. Our first point of contact is the council. So when the people take away the rights of the council to act on their behalf, if they're acting in a way which is considered is considered wrong or inappropriate or disadvantaging, then we can do that. And people they lose sight of that, and I just don't understand.
Where's their contract with you?
Well, there isn't a contract, is it? It's an implied consent. That's all we've got, implied consent.
So I mean, it's like the presumptions of law. They're presuming that unless you rebut it, it's consentful. But if you're rebutting it, saying, well, I'm sorry, I withdraw my consent, in theory, according to common law, not statutes and legislation, but into common law, which statutes and legislation sit on and part of be in, if you withdraw your consent, say, I'm sorry, I'm rebutting it, they shouldn't be able to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, it was a perfect example of that with when everyone was ranting and raving about Hancock and all the politicians having their parties in number 10. Those of us that have looked into common law and statutes and acts and what have you, realise that we didn't have it's the consent of the governed is needed. The consent of the governed is needed for an act, a statute, or a legislation to come into force. Now, those guys in number 10 knew full well the law didn't consent to it, so they had a party. Now, those of us that knew were laughing, but everyone else was doing their nut. And it's become very apparent now that it's just knowledge that's knowledge is the bit that's missing in society.
Yeah, absolutely.
They only teach you what they want you to know, basically.
Yeah. Well, this is why, kids are sent to school to be obedient soldiers for the government, because they're not given free thinking, critical thinking skills, and they're not taught, as they used to be, about the Constitution, about common law, and those things which everything else sits on and isn't, but just sits on. That's the thing.
Yeah, Richard, if I can, I mean, that's an ideal opportunity to enter with what I've got now, but the Bill of Rights Act 1688 is there to protect us.
Yes.
That is our constitutional law. But we can effectively remove any system that is tyrannical against us. And
absolutely.
This is tyrannical at the moment. And people don't realise that law, because we've been indoctrinated and programmed over a period of time not to look at it, it doesn't exist anymore. You hear it all the time, it doesn't exist anymore. That was put in place for the protection of the public against the system. And it stands in law, 1688.
Yeah.
You've got the Act of Unity, 1707, freedom of travel and navigation. A really important point that something like this is going to be in breach of. We have got the right to travel the UK, Scotland, wherever. And when it reads through in that, that is a right that is afforded to us. Freedom of travel and navigation and intercourse within the United Kingdom. They're looking to remove that. If people just did a little bit of research, you would see they don't want us to know that.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is extreme power against them. They don't want us to know it because ultimately, if that 1688 is in place, if we challenge it, it goes to the High Court. The High Court cannot turn around and say, this is not law. That is law. That's the people's law. We need more and more people understanding the significance and running with the significance that we can challenge this. The government will have you believe that there's an amendment to this, there's an amendment to that. If you amend any act that was set in place for the people without the people's consent, then that amendment, it doesn't exist. It's illegal.
Yeah. I mean, the old common law, you had trial by jury, but wasn't just trying an individual, it was also trying the act or the statute. And if the statute was stupid and unnecessary and harmful and didn't comply with common law, the 12 just men and women of the jury, who were also the judges, could say, this is not what we want, it's not beneficial to our society, our community, and therefore we don't want it, and it would be thrown out. I mean, that's the basis of common law. And it seems to me that the government at the moment, and then the councils coming down, are becoming more and more tyrannical and setting rules that they've absolutely not communicated as an idea, as a potential, as a service with the people, and the people are just blindly going, oh, okay, we have to accept it, but they don't.
No, 100%. That goes back to the initial thing that I said. It's indoctrinated and programmed in not to question. As soon as people start thinking or getting a little bit of intelligence for themselves and they a knowledge of certain things, then what does the government do? It gives you another distraction, of which we've had plenty in the last 3 years. It gives you another distraction, or it put another episode of a program on telly to keep the public dumbed down.
Absolutely.
Well, I urge now people to start doing a bit of research because it's going to be significant in the fight against tyranny. And this is what you're doing, and your video going out virally is getting people to think, hang on a minute, we the people actually have more power than we realised. And the way, in my mind, is not so much cutting cables and doing things which would be, deemed illegal, but you can use the power of not consenting and say, do you know what, I'm not going to pay for this. I'll pay for this service and that service, but because you've given me no contract, I'm not obliged. And common law says that both parties have to agree to a contract. But if you haven't got a contract, how can you agree to it? And you should, in theory, be able to negotiate that even with the council, because they're only a corporation. They're only a corporation just making demands. And if Wall's Ice Cream as a corporation said to you, I just want you to pay some money, you wouldn't do it, would you? Why would you? You'd say, well, what's in it for me? Hang on, let's agree on something.
Yeah, and I think it's become very apparent now that, at council level and like with Councillor Hempsall and even up through government, that people aren't aware of that. All they're doing is following orders from in a top-down process. The councillors that have voted in favour of trialling this have just put their tick in a box because the whip told them to.
Yeah.
That's basically it. They haven't actually researched into it or looked into or taken any advice or anything. So either the way I look at it is these councillors that are ticking the box are either idiots or following orders or are complicit in a cover-up.
And we saw how compliant people would be during the lockdown. Again, they sort of said, we've got special powers. We in government have all agreed that you should all be locked down. And people have been so fearful of something, rightly or wrongly, and they've gone, OK, we'll just do it. And there was no, again, it wasn't like, do you think this would be a good idea, people of England, Wales and Scotland? Do you think it would be a good idea that we can tell? No, we are just going to make this, it's an emergency, so therefore we've made up some bit of paper. It's a bit of paper with some words on it, and now that is a law. Well, is it? How do we know that's a law? The people put these people in power, and if you say, well, actually, I just think you're talking rubbish. You're talking rubbish, and all these people around me also think you're talking rubbish. So why should we do it? I mean, you know, when it comes down to it, there's more of us than them. We're the ones living and having to deal with everything. I don't really understand how a few people sitting in a big, very nice looking house can sit there and go, let's make their life as miserable as possible.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with the Corona Act, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it was only the fact that we knew an act didn't carry any weight whatsoever that made. There's a lot of people here today. We didn't comply to it. It's just a lack of knowledge, isn't it?
It was a program, Richard. It was a program run on fear.
And it's still going.
Yeah, from the outset, it was run on fear.
Yeah. I mean,
and it was dominant. It was just in your face. Every time you turn the telly on, there was the little red being the sign of danger virus thing on all the news channels, and it was moving to keep your attention. It was a program run on fear.
Yeah, and looking through the act, I mean, it was horrific reading. It was bad reading. I mean, there were parts in there where they could remove you from your homes and what have you, and seize your property and all this. And people just, oh, okay, we'll go along with it.
Yeah, again, if they believe it and they consent to it, then they're agreeing. You know, effectively, it becomes a verbal contract, doesn't it? You say, oh, well, I will agree. Unless you say, no, I'm not having that. And if everybody in the country was saying no, if everybody in Thetford said, we're just not having it, what are you going to do? We don't want it. In fact, as you said, we're not going to vote for you. Then they're out, because there will be a point where they're not voted in. And it's like, well, we're not voting for you. Sorry. Goodbye.
That is the importance that everybody has to realise, is the fact that they are the principle in this. They are the most important thing, not the council, not the government. The people are the most important thing. And once they realise that, and they take away that right of abuse, it's an abuse which has been afforded by us because that's what we believe we should do. We need to remove that. We're in a narcissistic relationship with our government, with our councils, and we need to remove ourselves from that. And we've got the power to do it in the 1688.
Yeah, we've
got the power. Let's use it.
Go from the bottom up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's down to you guys to decide whether you want low neighbourhood villages and towns and what have you, whether you think the car is a useful thing or an evil thing, whether it represents freedom so that you can travel about the land and visit people and do good things and help people and all of that, or whether it's a terrible thing that's going to blow the planet up and put great big plant pots in the way and sort of restrict everybody. I mean, it's down to the people who should be making those decisions, not a bunch of other people who are going, this is what we think we should do, because clearly, who wants to live like that? Because you don't know where that's going to escalate to further and further down the line.
Well, that's the one thing that I've really taken from the video that we put together, because the comment section is so inspiring, and the fact that people have said, oh, this has really inspired us to do this for our town. And I'm really grateful that it's having that knock-on effect.
Yes, and quite right. So you should do, and I think more people should be using these tools like YouTube and what have you to make videos to express ideas. So rather than them using these videos to say this is what you're going to do and you will behave, like in something out of 1984, but people are able to communicate across all these different social media things to say, actually, this is what I think. What do you think? Yeah, no, I agree with you. So that we get that bubbling up of what would normally be common sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. And now when this goes out, and obviously we're marketing you as much as you'll be marketing us, and we'll let people know that you don't have to search far. There are channels on there. There's just your channel, the Peacekeepers channel. There's loads of channels that I've found within the last 2 weeks and made contact with these people, and they're willing to help you. They want us on board. They need to get their numbers up. They need to create an awareness, because we are the decider in this. We are the power, for want of a better term. And by that, I don't mean that we've got to go out and break the law, because in actual fact, we'll have been breached completely and utterly of 1688, because we do no harm.
Exactly.
We remain at the right side of the law, which is, I stress to everybody to remain to do, because if you don't, then you've lost the power of the Act.
Yeah.
1688 will protect you so long as you do no harm or do not offend against the policies. But the government don't want us to know that. So do your research. That's all you got to do. 100%. If you do your research, we're going to be doing more YouTube things now that we understand the significance of people wanting to learn. And we are getting, that video has been, we couldn't have dreamed. We couldn't have dreamed of the response to it.
And this is the way forward. So what have you got? You've got another council meeting coming up. Is that right?
Yes, we have. Yeah, we've got another meeting on the 30th at the Carnegie Rooms in Thetford. And as a top councillor, I don't know who that's been. They haven't been named yet. Him or her haven't been named. But Lana Hempsey is going to come down and read her policy. We've got Jane James, the original mayor, with a Norfolk County Council head on, and then a hat on, if you like, because obviously she's Norfolk County Council, Breckland District Council, Town Council, and the mayor. So, but she'll be in there in her capacity as Norfolk County Councillor, and then Terry Jeremy, another Norfolk County Councillor. So it'll just be interesting. We've got 300 capacity, and again, we've done the right thing. We've got the 300 capacity in the venue, and we're streaming it via a Zoom link, so people don't need to attend the town and be denied access, which is going to frustrate them. They can view the whole meeting they can't interact, but what they can do is send questions, and I've requested questions that the panel can ask on their behalf. So we've done everything right. We're transparent. We've liaised. I'm looking to liaise with the local police authority to be aware of the size of the meeting, the nature of the meeting, etc., etc. So we're doing the right thing. We have to do that, because obviously if the media get hold of it, they're going to paint a bad picture. But if we've got every avenue of evidence to suggest that we haven't done what they report that we're doing, then we'd be all right.
Yeah, no, and I think that's absolutely right. And other people can learn from it as well. They can watch it and think, actually, this is quite useful, and we like what they did there. Maybe that bit wasn't quite for us, but we'll do this. And lots of people can learn, and other communities can work out a system that gets the common sense, common law, and the truth out into the community. Where can people log on to watch that stream?
It's going to be a Zoom link, which is going to be, because it's effectively a council meeting. They're going to provide with a Zoom link.
Oh, I see.
Get the Zoom link, then I can then forward it out. I'll get Kris to put it on the LSB channel.
Fantastic.
And then, so people can stream in and just see and watch it from around the country. I mean, the more people that watch it, there'll be understanding of what's going on. That's 4 hours meeting, and I've got to be honest. I mean, not to give too much away, but with the research that we're doing in the 2 weeks so far, and then obviously until the 30th, we'll be researching further. The team of researchers that we've got are absolutely invaluable, and they're digging up some.
Yeah. So can people contact you if they're they've seen this, or they've seen your original Thetford one, and they think, oh, we would like to talk to them because they're obviously a little bit ahead of us. Is there a place that we can, another website, or is that through just the YouTube channel?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't really know the answer to that at the moment. I mean, I'd be more than happy to speak to people, but what I do need to do is prioritise on the residents of Thetford.
Yeah, you don't want to be inundated.
Yeah. I don't want to dilute away from because I think it's important that we keep the impetus towards the 30th, the meeting for the 30th.
Yes, no, absolutely. I'm thinking afterwards. I'm just thinking once it's done.
They can always contact me on my YouTube channel on the About. They can get my email.
Brilliant.
And I can always forward any relevant questions onto these guys.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you know, in a way, you're forging ahead. You're what's the word? You're
test case, aren't we, really?
Yeah, you're a test, exactly. And that's what will inspire lots of other people, and they'll want to learn from it, and it could snowball, and that's what we really want. The truth, common sense, common law, the fact that we, the people, collectively are the ones who are in charge, and that these are our servants civil servants. They should be serving us, and not the other way round. They're not our masters, and they shouldn't be dictating. And I think people will. So that would be great. And I will also put a link to the video as well for those of my audience who haven't yet seen it, so that people can watch that. And then if you update me, Kris, I will add the other links and all of that, and keep things going.
This snowball has gone a long way, as you say. We're getting messages. I mean, the last message I saw was from Texas.
Really?
From Australia, New Zealand. They're coming from all over the world.
I had one from Greece.
From Greece. So, because the thing is, all right, we're dealing with our local problem.
Yes.
But what people need to realise is this has been rolled out across the world.
Yes, exactly.
There are test beds all around the world going on at the moment, and we're just doing our little bit to expose it, I suppose.
Absolutely, and how arrogant it is for the people who've decided that this is the thing that the whole world are going. I mean, the arrogance is just. I mean, it's just overwhelming, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's
Harry Schwab don't help, does he?
The act of tyranny is the new pandemic.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely. And I think, it's almost as if they watched everybody locked down and they saw, people are more compliant than we thought. Now we can throw out these other things and people would just do as we say. But actually, we're not going to.
For saying that, yes, I mean, people were compliant in the first place because they didn't have the knowledge, they hadn't done the research, and they believed everything they were told. But now, what I'm seeing happening now is that now they've moved on to the next agenda, so to speak, and now it's directly affecting their lives and affecting their movement, and may affect their income and their houses and their family and what have you. Now people are really starting to realise. People that had dismissed me over the last 3 years are now actually contacting me and asking questions.
Yeah, people are waking up, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Once the middle class get attacked and it starts affecting the middle class, then you'll start seeing more.
When an proposed agenda for us has got the heading, "You will own nothing and be happy," then I've got to be honest, you want to be a little bit suspicious about that.
The hackles go up, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's not good marketing, is it?
No. Whoever thought of that? Well, listen, guys, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to me. Obviously,
we've lost your sound,
you've lost my sound? Hello, 1, 2.
Hello.
You've lost the sound.
No, we can't hear you at all.
Can't hear you, Richard.
Oh, okay. I'm signalling to them. I can still hear them. But I'll say on behalf of the Thetford community.
We can't hear anything you're saying.
It's still okay. It must be they can't hear me, but we can still hear them. Look. So I will just say a big thank you to them and good luck, and wish them very much the best of luck.
I think we might have blown our amp.
I think they've blown the amp. Look, they're
there we go.
Are you back? Are you back? I was just rounding it. I was just about to say goodbye. Kris has disappeared. I hope he's all right. He hasn't been blown up.
No.
Give it time.
I've got to be honest, don't you think it's a little bit ironic that we mention "you'll own nothing to be happy" and then we lose our sound?
Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? It's like we're being monitored.
Anybody got a tinfoil hat I can wear?
Yeah, of course. So guys, thank you.
See if we can pan this camera up for a view of...
Yeah, let's have a picture of that as we sign off. Here we go.
Here he is.
That's Thomas Paine with the rights of man at his desk. Look at that. In Thetford at the Thomas Paine Hotel. I know you've got a meeting, or the hotel's got a function going on. And nice Stetson. Oh, there's the tinfoil on the inside. Oh, I love it. It's been fantastic to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking part.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Good luck. A lot of people are going to be... Yeah,
a lot of response and support. Thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. A lot of people are going to be watching. And I will have to come up. I think I'll have to come up sometime and have a drink with you guys in the pub. I think that would be fantastic. Anyway, in the meantime, it looks like... Have you lost the sound again? They've lost the sound.
He's gone.
I think
there he is.
I'm silly. I was just saying I'll have to have a come up to Thetford and have a drink with you guys in the pub.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, it's funny because
we've got the best venue.
I bet you. The first time I mentioned it, it went so quiet. I thought they thought No, I don't like that idea. Anyway, thank you so much. We will talk to you again soon. There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I'll be back again with another of my interviews in the future, but thank you for watching this, and we do wish them well. Do check out the link in there. Watch the video that came out before, and then Kris will update me, and I'll add another link. We'll go back to them in a month or so's time, find out how it went. Till the next time, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you.